So Love and the Opposites by Tracy Thorn, released 2010. It's first since Out of the Woods, which was 2007. And what have we got to say about it? Well, of course, she was part of the partnership that created Everything But the Girl in the mid-80s, with her then to become husband and father to her kids, Ben Watt. On this offering, she's actually had the album released on Ben's record label. So she's working with British producer Ewan Pearson, and recorded in Berlin and London. Features contributions from Hot Chips Al Doyle, Leo Taylor from The Invisible. He's a Swedish singer-songwriter, Jens Lekman, Nashville musicians Courtney Tidwell and Los Valentinos guitarist Jono. 8 original songs, 2 covers. The covers are of Lee Hazelwood's Come On Home to Me. She sings the duet with Jens Lekman, and You Are a Lover by the Unbending Trees. Thorn worked with them in 2008. And Tracy describes the record as about the person I am now and the people around me, after moving into her 40s recently. So let's get going. It's her third solo record, but there aren't any credits to the musicians on Wikipedia, so that might take a little bit of tracking down. And let's see. Oh, the Divorces, a very melancholic piano intro before Tracy joins in with vocal, and it's a tale really of the rather problematic state of society, one of society's social ills, and that's the frequency of how divorces appear, often out of nowhere, from couples who are perceived to have stable relationships. And Tracy is sort of presenting this in a sort of very melancholic way, because of the impact it has, I guess, on her, and the fact that she's in a marriage that appears to be working. So there's also a hint of half looking over your shoulder at the same time. I love her vocal. As Tracy describes characters that have done the dastard deed, the adultery, the leaving the stable relationship, I'm touched by the beauty of the strings that are almost just dabbed in. They're not sort of rammed down your throat, they're more sort of hesitantly placed on top of the underlying piano vocal combo. Very nice indeed. As the plucked string, probably a cello or something, leads us to the outro. Tracy leaves us with the vocal "Who's next? Who's next?" And it's a very powerful piece of music. So here's the lyric then to "Oh, the Divorces." Who's next? Who's next? Always the ones that you least expect. They seem so strong. It turned out she wanted more all along, and each time I hear who's to part, I examine my heart, see how it stands. Wonder if it's still in safe hands. Who's fled? Who's fled? Who's been caught out in somebody's bed? I should have guessed that day that his phone wouldn't take your text. He was a charmer, a wishing bad karma. Oh, I know we shouldn't take sides, but that one was his fault. This one is her fault. No one gets off without paying the ride. And oh, the divorces, and this one is different. And each one, of course, is, and always the same. Oh, the divorces. Who's next? Who's next? And oh, the honeymoon, the wedding ring. Oh, the afternoon handovers by the swings. Oh yes, your songs seem to look through a different lens. You're still so young, loving's just as easy as it begun. Now there's kids to tend, that legal biz and custody, and oh the divorces. And this one is different, and each one of course is, and always the same, oh the divorces. Who's next? Who's next? I think the words are absolutely brilliant. They're so real and honest and tough. Long white dress, it's just such a simple sort of almost, well, soft rock song, folk song that Tracy delivers, and it's got some really delicate little drips of guitar that make it succulent, and the gentle drums, the beat, just relax you totally as you soak up the lyric. And the lyric, as I saw it, was once again about this issue of being married or being a part of a couple, and whether that's what you want, or the notion of the long white dress, the marital day, the ceremony, and that it's the end to all your problems. And she sings with a sort of cynicism about this, or perhaps a less committed view of that these days. It's a really beautiful little song. Might have to get the lyric to this and all. So here's A Long White Dress, the lyrics. Matthew was a wised up kid. He found out everything before the rest of us did. He said, I don't think that you have to be married. And I don't know why I felt so scared. I just knew I didn't want to wear the long white dress. Jackie was the first to hide, kept all of his better feelings inside. He said, I know I love you, but I can't decide. And tucked away in some back bed, like a ghost of something dead. Long white dress. I know I'm not an independent woman, so you might say, well really, what's the difference? Is it all in my head? Is it all in my head? Is it all in my head? I was a romantic kid. I found myself a torch and a book, and I hid. And nothing ever scared me like a wedding did. And I filled my head with so much shit. And I dreamed of it, of love and its opposite. Long white dress. Definitely food for thought on that. Hormones is next. It's much more up tempo, almost a little nod to Fleetwood Mac, but perhaps with less sort of panache. But it's about, well, hormones, how they arrive and then how they wane and depart, and how it affects one at different ages. And It's beautifully sung, and a nice little sort of synth type rhythm to it. The nice, easy sort of beat with those guitars jangling a bit with the piano, and then she throws in some horns back in the mix, which don't sort of really impact a great deal, but just expanding the sound a little bit, and a comfortable lyric is absolutely captivating. I love her style. Kentish Town's next, and I noted on Wiki it's just prefixed by family ghosts, so I'm really looking for that. This slow sort of, I don't know how ballad's the quite way to describe it, because it's a tale of a young life where you were brought up, and the repetitive actions, the places, what you did with people in your life, your family, and now it's all gone. It's sort of still there up in your head, and when you return to the place, it's just a mere memory. The picture that you have is so different, radically different from what you can remember, because things have changed so radically. And those people are not there, and in many ways, on many instances, the shops are not there. The activities that would happen don't happen anymore. It's a mixture of sort of nostalgia coupled with sort of sadness, and the music is very gentle and quite sort of somber, not haunting, but sort of taking a breath to realise it's not there anymore. And the music fits perfectly because it's not impacting you in the same way. It's sort of slightly reassuring. The timbre is sort of so genteel, and Tracy's singing, as always, is on point. There seems to be a sort of like a church organ feel to the music as well. Without sort of musician credits for this album, it's difficult to be absolutely certain what instruments are being used, but the overall sound is so sort of snug, really. Wide as the Wind, much more up-tempo here, sort of almost danceable to, but the tone of the album isn't such that would seem appropriate. There's a touch of horn thrown in alongside the synths and the general keyboard domination of the music, but I like the sort of nice nifty beat which Tracy locks into perfectly with her voice and the vocal. Not too sure what it's about. More of that later, maybe. It's a love song about why does the heart blow into my heart every time I see you, and there's some exquisite sort of arrangements on this with a touch of violin. Really, but not overdone. It's so sort of precise and deliberate, but small doses. The bass runs are solid, and there's almost a sort of violin type jig in the latter part of the track, but it's not a jig, but it's integrated into the sound, back in the mix, but it's definitely there. It's really beautiful. and then the outro, the rhythms are dropped, and we've just got this duet between violin and synth, and it gets stripped back more and more to fade out. Beautifully done. Next up is You Are a Lover, written by Christoph Harjos and Balas Havasi, from this band The Unbending Trees, which Thorn collaborated with back in 2008. So I don't know much about this, but let's get to it. This is very much a stripped back singer-songwriter type of song, a love song of course, with just the acoustic guitar and Tracy's singing. It's quite gripping, impactful. Works very, very well together. Next up is Singles Bar, particularly a track that I love, and this is when later in life, possibly following a divorce, or you're confronted with the need to return to rather strange environments, different environments, to try and seek out another mate or another partner. And first time round, probably these didn't exist, these types of bars, and so you're thrust into the unknown really, and what it all sort of takes to adjust to that. Once again, another slow sort of rock ballad, but the guitar's tasteful, but the lyric is what impacts this piece of work. Some great words about this situation, this scenario, for someone who's going back in time almost, and having to be single again. Had assumed that it was all behind you, and how you really aren't quite sure how it all works anymore, and perhaps you're sort of more promiscuous or more desperate, or you seem more inclined to match up quicker, whereas way back you were much more conservative and not eyed things up. Here you jump in at the deep end. It's a really great sort of song actually about real life. So here's the lyric anyway. Is there room for one more at the singles bar? I've been working up the courage all year. I pull up my ring as I push my way in. Won't be needing it here. Can you guess my age in this life? Who'll be taking me home tonight? So pour me one more at the singles bar to numb all the pain I've endured. I lie on my back for a Hollywood wax. I'm stripped and I'm French manicured. Can you guess my age in these giant jeans? Can you tell me what any of this means? I'm not a teenager anymore. I wish you'd help me out of this mess. I wish you'd help me out of this dress and let it fall down to the floor. Oh, I want more. What I came here for. I'm back here once more at the singles bar. It's become my regular haunt. I think I'm resigned to take what I find. I can't get what I want. And can you tell me how long I've been here? Can you smell the fear? I think they're absolutely brilliant, these words. Absolutely brilliant. If that doesn't create pictures in your mind, then I don't know what will. Come On Home to Me is next up. It's the Lee Hazelwood written song, and duet with Jens Leckman. We're about to unravel. This has got a sort of orchestral feel with some synth thrown in, but no beat as such, and they're singing a duet, quite a contrasting sound, somewhat of a bassy male, and a falsetto from Tracy, sang pretty nice though. This song could be described as somewhat chilling in its desolation, and it's an odd change of mood, quite disturbing, I would say. Maybe it's about somebody who's left. Late in the afternoon, very slow percussion tempo with some strings in the arrangement, but they're back in the mix. A tale really about how love needs to be the test of time, really. Late in the afternoon, a metaphor for longevity, and that to get through the day or get through the relationship, you need stamina, you need patience, you need to share, you need to be, you coexist, interpersonal, and how that isn't always that easy, but that you need to expose yourself, not hide. That seems to be the message that I get from Tracy's impassioned vocal. Swimming is the closer, and it's a beauty. Features Courtney Tidwell on drums, and she also adds backing vocals, which is very impactful in this song, sort of echoing Tracy's lead vocals, and some really nice percussive use of cymbals, which sort of wash over the sounds. And it's a gentle tempo, much like many of the tracks on here, and it really sort of highlights the need to keep moving forward with hope that love will come through, will pull you through, even if it seems to lose its way or disappear for a while. That there's a survival nature to it, and you just need to draw it out. It's a positive note, really, to finish off after some of the other tracks, which sort of are rather despondent and inevitably leading to failure. But what a tasteful piece of work this is. It's got none of the disco drama that we catch on other Tracy's work, and this is singer-songwriter stuff, and it's 5-star, and I love it.